चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयोधपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगना रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपदान् सहगन ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमः ओं विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रस्ताय भूतले श्रीमते श्रीमती नाम्ने नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रस्ताय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नाम्ने नमस्ते सरस्वती देव्यै गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशैर्वितारिणे मूकं करोति वाचालं भङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्यमीश्वरम्। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। नमः पङ्कजनाभाय नमः पङ्कजमालिने नमः पङ्कजनेत्राय नमस्ते पङ्कजाङ्घ्रिये। श्री कृष्ण गोविंद हरे मुरारे हे नाथ नारायण वासुदेव हरि हरि. So today we are reading from Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 20, text 13 to 15. Right, Prabhu? So we'll share the screen. Hare Krishna. Go. Here we are. Text 15. Let me go to that. Okay. Now we'll come back to Zoom. Screen. Here we are. Okay. Share. So text 13. Raja Pradhanan Mahadastrilingo Daiva Choditat Jadaha Sasarja Bhudadir Vyadadini Panchashaham, that is Raja Pradhanat, in which the element of Rajas or passion predominates. Mahata, from the Mahatattva. Trilinga of three kinds. Deva Chodidat, impelled by superior authority. Jata was born. Sasarja, evolved. One second. Evolved. Bhuta Adihi, the false ego, origin of the material elements. Vyat, the ether. Adini, beginning with. Panchasha, in groups of 5. Translation and purport by Divine Grace Prabhupada Ki Jai. As impelled by the destiny of the jiva, the false ego, which is of 3 kinds, evolved from the Mahatattva, in which the element of Rajas predominates. From the ego, in turn, evolved many groups of 5 principles. Purport. The primordial matter or Prakriti, material nature, consisting of 3 modes, generates 4 groups of 5. The first group is called elementary and consists of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. The second group of 5 is called Tanmatra, referring to the subtle elements, that is, sense objects, sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. The third group is the 5 sense organs for acquiring knowledge: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. The fourth group is the 5 working senses: speech, hands, feet, anus, and genitals. Some say that there are 5 groups of 5. One group is the 5 sense objects, one is the 5 elements, one is the 5 sense organs for acquiring knowledge, another is the senses of working, and the 5th group is the 5 deities who control these divisions. So, here, I think each verse we will discuss before going to the next one, because it will be too much to finalize, to discuss everything in the final. So here, it's a conversation between Vidura and Maitreya. And to Vidura's questions concerning creation, Maitreya Muni is entering the topic of creation. So, how the ingredients for creation are all generated, are there in the body of the Lord. So, this verse is talking about that. So, initially, the Mahatattva or the unmanifest creation is in the spiritual sky, in the corner of the spiritual sky. But when the living entities desire to, for karma, that is, they have this stored desires in their subtle bodies. And when they are propelled by the desire to, enter into karmic activity, then the Lord enters into the Mahatattva in his form as time energy and activate the Mahatattva. Then it becomes manifest. Creation becomes manifest. So the creation is only for the because the living entities desire, they want to do material activity, so the Lord creates a material creation for them. So here we are talking about, first of all, we know the Lord has said in Bhagavad Gita, these 5 gross elements, that is the earth, water, fire, air, ether, and the false ego, and in mind, intelligence, false ego. These 8 are my separated energies, Bhinna Prakriti, may Ashtada. So these are the energies of the Lord. So, and then because of the stirring with the time energy, the separation, the four groups of five are generated. Those are, and the first we already talked about the five gross elements. The second group of five is called Tanmatra, that is the subtle elements or sense objects: sound, touch, form, taste, and smell. And the third group is the five sense organs for acquiring knowledge. That is our eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin. And the fourth group is the five working senses, and that is the speech, hands, feet, anus, and genitals. So then in some description, the five deities who control those divisions are also included in these groups of five. So it is like the warehouse of creation. Everything is there, and they are waiting to be assembled. So in the text 14, Tani चैगैकशः स्रष्टुम asamarthani bhautigam samhatya दैवयोगेन ऐममण्डम avasrajan. That is one more time. Tani chaigaigasa srashtum asamarthani bhautigam samhatya deva yogena haimam andam avasrajan. That is Tani, those elements, cha and ekashaha, separately, srashtum, to produce, asamarthani, unable, bhautikam, the material universe, samhatya, that is having combined, Deva Yogena, with the energy of the Supreme Lord, Haimam, shining like gold, Andam, globe, Avasrajan, produced. Translation. Separately unable to produce the material universe, they combined with the help of the energy of the Supreme Lord, and they were able to produce a shining egg. Shining egg. So that is without the Lord personally entering the universe. I mean the prototype of the universe. That is the shining egg. And why is that the egg shining? Because there is the false ego, the living entity's consciousness also is there. But there are millions of living entities. Their consciousness is the original light. It is not like the temporary light in the material world. So that egg, which is a combination of all these elements, is also, it makes it very lustrous. And so then the next verse says, so shayishta salile andagosho niratmakaha sagram vai varsha sahasram anavatsitam ishvaraha. So for 1,000 years, the shiny egg lay on the waters of the causal ocean in the lifeless state. Then the Lord ended it as Garbhodakashai Vishnu. From this verse, it appears that all the universes are floating in the causal ocean. So the Karnodakashai Vishnu is providing all the ingredients, and then they are all assembled, but they're like merely shells or shells of the universe. So they cannot be animated unless the Supreme Lord himself, in the form of Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, enters each of them. So it is like saying that we have many switches in a room by which we can turn on a fan or the fridge or the lights and all that. But none of those will work if the main switch is off. So the Supreme Lord has to enter, and then only the whole the universe comes alive. So he creates, and then we know the next step from the Garbhodaka Sai, navel of the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu, the first living entity enters. And that is Lord Brahma. And he sits on the lotus, and the lotus flower grows. The lotus flower is all the Jiva souls are in that lotus flower, and Lord Brahma is seated on that lotus. And Lord Brahma puts together, assembles the bodies of each living entity according to their karmic reactions. That is, according to their desires, according to their gunas associated with each soul. So that this is the basic step of creation that is explained in these 3 verses. And so we know that from Canto 2 also, there is a description of the creation. So here the Maitreya Muni is answering to the saintly Vidura, his questions. So the 3 Vishnus, how they act in creation, coordinate. So the causal ocean, all these universes are lying like pretty much like coconuts for 1,000 years. And then Lord Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu enters and activates, creates diversity, and Lord create diversity in each universe. And 14 planetary systems, and the living entities' positions are assigned, where they qualify to go, everything. So the living entity asks for this, so the material creation is happening. So then the Kshirodaka Sai Vishnu enters into each and every living entity's heart. And then he is the constant friend and witness to each and every living entity. So unless the living entity, the false ego, the false ego turns his face to the Lord, that he is the friend, that is Suhrit. Ishvara Sarva Bhudanam Deshe Arjuna Tishtati. That is, I am seated in the heart of all living entities. They are like 2 birds in a tree, according to the Upanishadic picture. And then the Jiva bird is busy enjoying the fruits of that tree. That is he is engaged in, absorbed in, sense enjoyment. And then he forgets his friend, who is the Supreme Lord and his companion for all lifetimes. So until when he turns his face to the Supreme Lord, until he takes shelter of the Supreme Lord, there is no relief from this, relief from the clutches of material energy of the Lord. So that is the Vedic teachings about how creation happens, how the living entity comes to material existence. So birth after birth, we are seeking that place, that is from which there is no return. Going where there is no return. Krishna is saying in the Bhagavad Gita, that is, Arjuna, you've been here you and I have been there in this so many times, but then in this life, but I can remember all those. You cannot remember, but so Krishna is giving Arjuna that knowledge, that is by surrendering to the Supreme Lord, the Suhur Sarva Bhutana. Krishna is there, and we have to take shelter of him. And Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Mamekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tvam Sarva Bhabebhyo Mokshayisyami. So it is the desire for karmic activity that brings the living entity into this material world. And it's a surrender to Christ, and it is a very powerful, the energy they create, the material energy of the Lord. So unless that is Devi Yesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Turatya, that is, as long as you are in seeking for happiness in this material world, that is through sense enjoyment, there is no relief from the material entanglement with Maya. So just by surrendering, Mam eva e prapadyante mayam tu tarandite. That is, by surrendering to the Lord, you are enabled to go back home, back to get out of this material energy. So that's all my short class today. Any comments or questions? I will try. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna Prabhu, no questions, so shall we end the class?
Hare Krishna Mataji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept mine too, Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you, Mataji. Short and sweet, wonderful class. How creation is working. Particularly the part where the Hiranya Garbha is sitting there for 1,000 celestial years, nothing happening until and unless the Lord enters.
Yeah.
So, and he stirs, so then finally you quoted, Daiveshi Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratraya. So without the Lord's help, you can't even exit the system.
Please add, Prabhu, please add some more about that, that many universes lying in that dormant state. Please add something, Prabhu. I miss question.
Yeah. That's also correct. All the universes are dormant. All the, like you said, assembly, they're all ready for assembly, but nothing is happening. If you look at Newton's, law of inertia, so
inertia.
Actually, and they say at a quantum level it is different, at other level it is different. All of this, Einstein disagrees, but here in Bhagavatam, they're not even like explicitly stating it, but it is very clear, nothing is happening until the Lord glances.
Yes.
And the Lord glances, he agitates. Yeah. When he agitates, and then the churning starts.
Yeah.
So it's so clear,
Yes.
It's also clear. And then, even the other thing is when you say Brahma is the one who is, he's doing Visarga, correct? He's the second. maybe he has some sort of a barcode reader. He looks at every individual soul.
That's a very nice one.
Then he knows what sort of packaging to put them in.
Yes. Yes.
So I always wonder on these things,
Yeah.
So particularly the Sankhya philosophy part of it is very
Yeah.
attractive.
Yes.
But
And how the three gunas,
yeah, yeah.
each living entity is in
Mhm, mhm.
a
Yeah,
particular color, that
yeah.
so he will
Mataji,
assemble that. He will assemble that.
even the three gunas, if you look at it, like
Yes.
when you look at colors, for example, there are only three base colors
Yes.
that the industry uses: blue, I
Red.
forget, red, and one more, white probably. And then it is these three that they mix in different proportions to
Yes.
create
Yes. So
millions of shades.
yes.
And the trigunas are exactly the same,
Yes.
like,
Yes.
or maybe we can't compare this color mixing to the trigunas because it's much more.
Yeah. It's a
Yeah,
very, practical example. Very
yeah.
nice. You know
Mhm.
how many
Yeah.
shades you can create out of these three mixing,
Yes,
and
yes, yes.
each one's karma bank is, brings out so many forms, life forms.
And in spite of that, when you talk to somebody, particularly people in difficulty or otherwise, they'll all say fate, what to
Yeah.
do, you
What
know,
to do? Yes.
what to do.
Yes.
I have to
Yes.
face this,
Yes.
and forgetting that it is our own desire that created that fate.
Yes. That is the first
Mhm.
step in surrender. We have to accept that you ask for it.
and and finally,
Yeah.
like you quoted that verse where without his help you can't transcend. you
Yeah,
know
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so
Without his,
that's
without
yeah,
surrendering to
that's so wonderful, Mataji. Thank you
that.
so much.
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. So the creation, as described in the Vedic, our Puranas and Vedic, teachings, and the picture of the living entity versus the Supreme Lord. No other scriptures. It is such a clear cut description. Unlike the living entity is very much similar to the Lord in all aspects. That is, He is eternal. He is full of knowledge and then the Satchit and Ananda, and capable of the same happiness as the Lord, but because of the coverings, He is like in a dark place. So this picture, but then in quantity he is very tiny. So very, very tiny. So the comparison of the big fire and the tiny spark, and how the tiny spark away from the fire will be immediately put out. So, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, that the consciousness is of three types. That is so very instructive. Look at the trees. They are not able to move, and their consciousness is like very dull. And the animals, they have some consciousness, but they are only able to pursue the demands of the senses. That is to fill their belly. They toil all day, just eating and sleeping, mating. That's all their basic functions. Only the human being, so the tree's consciousness is compared to that of a child in the womb, which has no freedom. It is just stuck there. So the tree is pretty much like helpless. It is standing there. They have been ordered not to move. And the animals, they have the ability to move, but their consciousness is compared to that of a mirror which is completely covered with dust. They have no idea about the soul at all. The living entity's consciousness is covered compared to the fire, with the smoke covered. That is, by fanning that fire, we can make it into a blaze. That is, it can come to understand its full glory as the spiritual entity. So that is the process of devotional service to the Lord. That is only when, like precious metal, like silver or gold, when it is tarnished, we can try washing all, but washing will not retrieve its original shine. We put it to fire, it will become its natural shining. This one. So similarly, the fire of devotional service. That is which yesterday we were reading that in Bhagavatam. So the fire of devotional service is that which restores the living entity's original position, constitutional position. Constitutional position as the servant of the Supreme Lord, and not belonging in this darkness, in the material world of darkness. So even to the King Satyavrata, Satyavrata is talking about in the first incarnation. He is talking about a complete surrender to the Supreme Lord. That is what will bring us back to our original constitutional position. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for being patient. I barely did a good job today. I mean, I didn't prepare sufficiently. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Well,
Lingaraj Prabhu posted that, once you are done, we can just close the meeting. And,
okay. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. I don't see that end.